Hello guys, and welcome to a brief overview of the game Collapse Collide and its beta version. I'm John Wimpney, and I'm one of the lead developers on this project. And I just thought I would show the people that haven't got enough time to play through it fully what we have to offer here. So first things first, we have a whole fully working menu. We've got saving, loading, all of that stuff works in the main menu. Help thing. We've got volume here. I've turned the volume down low, just so that you can hear me over the music for now. We've also got things like effects that happen during the game, ambient effects that happen constantly, and this is the volume for keys when you're using the hacking mechanic, which I'll get onto in a moment. Also got graphical options, so for people that find reading black and white difficult, from people that just want to have a colour that they find preferred, I'll stick on green for this one. You can do that quite easily over here, and you can even copy your own code in if you have a very specific one that you like. Alright, so on to the actual game itself. It is a text-based narrative game where all of the inputting and control you do through the game is done by typing. So for example, if you see down here, the first thing that we're taught, actually that's the first thing that we are taught, is we can use tab to make notes. Quite a lot of the stuff in the game you might find interesting or useful, and you might want to keep for later. So, I might want to remember, I've got a password for something, so I'll just, put down password, come back to it at any time. So, first command, I'm going to skip over the tutorial in the interest of time. I know how to play the game, you don't need to learn how to play it. So I'm just going to misspell south. I'm just going to quickly speed through all of this, because it just teaches you how to play the game. Alright, so here's the first level for the game itself. As you can see, we have art and production. However, it's important to note that we haven't really finished off the art, especially the UI yet, because the UI is something we're working on. We're trying to make it align with the artistic direction of the production art you got on the right here. We haven't fully managed to make that work in time for the alpha, but of course we'll have it done by the time for the full game. So, this is outside of the hospital. In this level, as explained in the tutorial bit that has just zoomed past you, you are playing a character called Mistral, who is the woman you saw in the first piece of art. You're looking for information on your missing sister. Now, you've been given a lead that this hospital has seen your sister at some point in the last 8 years. So you're going to try and break into the hospital, or more specifically the server room, and you're going to, try and get that information. So, movement is managed through usually the cardinal system, but basically you end up with the name of the room, which in this one's game, because we just walked into the game, and then you have a description of the room that you're currently in, which is this paragraph here, and then you have exits that are around, in which place there's only one exit for this room, which is south, and then finally any objects or items that you can interact with or pick up, or people you can talk to, are listed underneath there. So for example here we've got a GPA news book, which is this little holographic thing over here. So we can examine this, and we'll be given a little bit more information about it. So here we can see that it's talking about how we can probably hack it if we wanted to, and just give us a little bit more information about what hacking would do. So if we hack it, we come up with a hacking screen. Again, working on the UI, trying to make it fit with everything else. So with hacking, the main mechanic is that you can look for files, like so. And now we've got what looks like two news text files and what looks like an advert. The mechanic behind hacking is that not every single file will be visible this way. So you have to look through other files to find the hidden ones that you're looking for. However, in this news terminal, obviously there's not going to be anything hidden or interest for us. The purpose of this terminal is just to educate the players for a little bit about how the game's universe is, and a little bit of background information, And there's one or two little secrets thrown into places like this that you might find out useful for conversation later or for pretending you're someone else, stuff like that. So if we display, let's go with the first one. And you can see now that we've got a news article here that gives the player a little bit of information about the game itself. I won't show you the rest of the stuff so that you can see some other things within the interest of time, but you get the idea about that's what terminals can do. So if we head into the main hospital itself, you'll see that we've now got a bunch more rooms that we can head to. And more importantly, we've got a locked lift. Now naturally the server room isn't just going to be publicly accessible, so you imagine that, well, there's multiple ways to get to this server room. However, for this playthrough, I'm going to, well, the three versions that we've got to get to the different floor, the second floor from here, the second floor having the access to the basement. We've got three for the ground floor, which is we speak to the doctor, we hack the doctor's terminal, or we get a key card from the janitor, and then we break in from the outside using the janitor's key card. So, as you can see to the west, I hear some voices talking. If we head over west, we'll see that, there you go, some janitors have been talking about stuff, and they've left the closet unlocked. So now that we are armed with this information, the closet room has appeared elsewhere in the game, because now your character knows about it. However, we're not going to take this route, because it doesn't showcase as much of the game as I'd like it to. Because it's a difficult room to find, but it rewards you for this difficulty by making you progress faster through the level. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go and say hi to the GP, who's sitting behind the little office, and here we can show off how the dialogue mechanic works. So we've got the description for the office that we're in, exits to the west. The doctor's computer is here, which we can try and hack. But while the doctor's here, you can't really hack someone's computer while they're using it, let alone the fact that they're watching you. So, if we can get this doctor away from the computer, then we can hack into it. So, if we try talking to the doctor, this is how the dialogue system works. So, we get given a description of what they say, what is it, and then we can choose, in a typical kind of game fashion, which one of the answers that we want. So, let's ask about the other floors, because we want to know where the server room is, right? So we get a little bit more dialogue. We get the option to just finish talking or continue conversation. Let's see what else we can get from them. Well, now that we've been talking to them, we know a little more information about the hospital. We can know enough that we can try and ruse, or make up a reason that they need to leave the hospital. So, for example, here someone's ill in the reception. So we might be able to lure them out of their room with that. And it seems to have worked. The doctor has left now. If you have a look in the room, no more doctor here. So, we are now free to hack into their terminal. If we do a quick search on the computer to see what they've got, we see we've got temp notes and the lift passcode. So, if we have to take a look, well, let's have a look at that. But you don't need to see the temp notes. It's a little bit of flavor text. And as you can see here, we found out that the passcode is 2593. So we can jot that down over here, and then use that when we need to. Right, so if we head back to the main lobby, we can now try pressing the password, which is 2593. 2593 into the keypad. And now we've managed to make our way into the lift. And obviously we're on the ground floor, but now we can make our way to the first floor. So, first floor is a little bit more menacing than the ground floor, obviously. Members of the public aren't allowed up here, so we have to be a little bit more careful about just kind of making our presence known. as long as we act like we know that we're meant to be here, people obviously need to leave us alone. It's not a high security prison or something. But we're definitely going to attract suspicion from the other NPCs in the game about why we might be up on the first floor in the first place. And the dialogue and the way that you can be discovered, depending which room you go to in this area, reflects that mechanically. So we don't really have any idea where to go at this point. There seems to be an office that is locked here, so that might be worth it going to. If it's locked, it might be something worthwhile inside, the information that we need. So if we head south, and we see there's all sorts of nasty stuff going on in this room here. There's also an office by the looks of it, so let's check the office out. Seems to be a psychiatrist in here, so if we have a chat with him, maybe he's got some information for us. I'm very sorry about that. It seems that a fire alarm managed to go off while I was recording this, so I had to head outside. However, we can continue off where we were, and this also does give us a good opportunity for me to show off how the loading system works. So, unsurprisingly, as most saving loading systems work, I've quit the game, I've come back, load game, ban, right back to where we were. Back in the psychiatrist's office, which is just before the alarm went off. Just before I forget, I'm just going to put the volume back down again. Alright. So, we were going to talk to the psychiatrist. And as I was mentioning before, we don't really want to start peppering a suspicious person with all sorts of questions. We probably need to act apologetically towards him. I've worked quite hard to make sure that the dialogue in this game is believable and it doesn't feel too gamey. You find quite a lot of the time that games have all sorts of dialogue where you just kind of exposit things towards the player rather than acting like a natural conversation. Let's just turn that volume down a little bit more. I'm looking at the volume levels here. Don't want you guys to have to struggle to hear me. So let's go to number 1. Looks like the psychiatrist has given us a little bit of information here about where the CMO himself, the guy of the locked office, might be. And also, he's mentioned some kind of air vent in the intensive care unit. So if we head over to that. So we'll see that because we've spoken to him, this air duct panel is now visible. Before, it was only the office, and heading back the direction we came was visible. So, well, I mean, the air duct is usually quite a good sort of shortcut, so you can always check that out. So having a look at this, it's not looking the safest of directions. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll head out. We'll try and take the regular route down, so we don't kind of fall head first into some Death Star style attraction impactor or something. So if we head over to the office, that seems to be open from this direction. We found ourselves inside the CMO's office. So, his terminal's here as usual. More importantly, the officer himself is here. And as usual, if we can find a way to make him leave, we can hack his computer. If we had picked up a gun, then we could have shot him, although that tends to obviously attract quite a bit of attention. So let's just go with the diplomatic approach for now, shall we? So, we have to make a decision between whether we want to pretend to be a security expert or whether we want to pretend to be an auditor of the hospital. I mean, I wouldn't say we look like the strongest of women, so, or at least, you know, the most burly. And it seems that our ploy has worked. We've been given, as you can see down here, a new passcode that will give us access to the elevator from the same lift. So let's just put that on the top. And they're going in the server room, but you know, we won't be listening to that. And if we wanted a little bit more information, the guy can talk about more stuff to do with the game as well, and so on and so forth, if you're interested in that. But obviously that's only optional. You don't have to take that. So, if we head we can now take the locked door that was locked. We can take the locked door that was locked previously, and that will take us right back to the elevator lobby. So it's probably worth noting that I've coded commands to be a fluid dynamic thing. For example, you've probably been seeing I've been using the word go for all of this time. However, it's designed so that I've put in multiple keywords and multiple ways of phrasing the same commands, like, you know, push code on keypad, push code in keypad, press, so on and so forth. So as a quick demonstration of that, like, you know, I can use move if I wanted to, or I can use, I think, travel is one of them. I put a bunch of them in. Travel is not one of them. I think warp is there. There we go. So yeah, there's a bunch of ways of doing the same thing, so that people don't have to think about what the command is. They just type what they want to do, and it just tends to happen. That way, you know, immersive purposes and all of that is extremely useful. Anyway, so we found out that the code is 1984. So let's put it in. And now we can see that we've got basement access. So if we head over to the basement. And now this floor is definitely, there's no one down here, but we don't know how many cameras there are because we haven't taken any routes that would give us that information. Maybe the janitors had access to the security room, so on and so forth, but we didn't go that way. So, we've got some kind of tunnel to the north. Dead end. Maybe in some other run through there would have been some way to come here. I can tell you as the game developer that the air vent that we didn't take earlier actually leads here. However, if you don't do it in the right order, you can actually get injured from falling down the air vent 2 stories. So here we have is a access panel or a pad. So let's hack it. Right, so let's see what we've got going on inside this locked door. Seems there's only the one command here, which makes sense. Access panels to doors tend to not really have much functionality beyond opening and closing things, and obviously there's not many text files or anything like this to read. So what we can do, instead of displaying files, is we can also run files, like you would run an executable like this game. So if we run safety, the whole hacking system is designed to have autocomplete onto it, so you don't have to write out the full file names, because that got old pretty quickly when testing, so we thought we'd save everyone the effort for that. So we have the file load. Seems that it's worked. And as we can tell, it's now worked because the server room was open. So we can head inside, and we've got a mainframe here. Now, we can hack into the mainframe. Now, I know ahead of time what the name of the file we're looking for is, so rather than saving you reading through lots of expositional stuff and, you know, information about the hospital itself and other patients, we're just going to go straight for the one file, which is this one. And if we display it, we have all sorts of nice information here. Lucy Prescott, all of that information, but most importantly, is our sister, Isabel Russell, has to come here with her. So if we can find Lucy, then we'll be one step closer to finding our sister. So we can head out to the server room now. We've got the information. You know, if you're a player that doesn't know the stuff, you probably want to type down, you know, Lucy Prescott and her other information here. Might come in useful later if you need to start asking around for names. And now that we're finished, we can head off to the east. And that is the end of the demo level for our game, with a nice little bit of art of Isabel. I hope you enjoyed playing through with me. I hope this highlighted most of the systems that we have going on. Obviously I couldn't show you everything in the level, so there wasn't any of the janitor stuff, any of the key cards that get you through the doors in different ways. There's a fire escape that you can climb on the outside of the building. I mentioned the air ducts earlier, so on and so forth. But hopefully that was a moderately succinct but detailed enough overview of the game for anyone who's interested. So thank you very much for watching.